He thought he could hide forever. But in Walford, the truth never stays buried for long. The shocking downfall of Joel Marshall has sent shockwaves through EastEnders, and fans can't stop talking about how the truth finally came crashing down around him. What started as a heated argument spiraled into one of the most harrowing attacks the show has seen in years, leaving Vicky Fowler clinging to life and an entire community demanding justice. It all began when Vicky finally stood up to Joel's toxic, misogynistic behavior, something she'd been putting up with for far too long. But instead of backing down, Joel snapped. The rage, the entitlement, the pure aggression, it all erupted in one horrific moment that would change every life connected to him. When the dust settled, Vicky was left battered and unconscious, rushed to the hospital in critical condition. And Joel? He didn't show an ounce of remorse. Instead, he ran convinced he could outsmart everyone. Ross, Joel's father, refused to believe the whispers. He couldn't accept that his own son, the boy he raised, could do something so monstrous. He defended Joel to anyone who dared to accuse him, even as the evidence started piling up. But that defense shattered the second he discovered what Joel had been hiding. On his son's phone was the unthinkable, a video Joel had filmed of the entire attack. It wasn't just proof, it was a confession. Every second of brutality, every chilling detail, captured on camera by the person responsible. When Ross saw that footage, you could see the heartbreak wash over him. The realization that his son wasn't the victim, he was the aggressor. And in that moment, Ross was faced with an impossible choice: protect his child or do what was right. He chose justice. With a heavy heart, Ross went to the police and handed over the evidence. Meanwhile, Joel was still hiding, using the Queen Vic as his safe haven, with Tommy Moon secretly helping him. But Tommy's conscience couldn't take the weight of it anymore. The lies, the guilt, the fear of what would happen next, it all became too much. So Tommy finally cracked. He told the truth, revealing Joel's location to the police. That's when things escalated fast. Armed officers stormed into the garage where Joel had been laying low. The sound of sirens, the shouting, the chaos, it was like a movie scene. Joel was dragged out in front of everyone: his father, Tommy, and half the neighborhood, who couldn't believe what they were seeing. The same boy they once thought was misunderstood was now being cuffed for one of the worst attacks Walford had witnessed. And from that moment, Joel's world began to crumble. At the police station, Julie agreed to act as Joel's appropriate adult, a decision that showed how far gone things really were. Ross, on the other hand, made his way to the hospital to see Vicky. But Sharon was waiting, and she didn't hold back. She made it crystal clear that Joel would never set foot in her home again. When Ross finally reached Vicky's bedside, it was an emotional wreck. He tried to apologize, to explain, but his words fell flat. Vicky was furious, her voice weak but full of anger. She couldn't believe Ross was even thinking about seeing Joel, not after what he'd done. But guilt is a powerful thing. Against everyone's wishes, Ross went to the station anyway. He couldn't stay away. When he arrived, Joel was already being questioned, DNA samples taken, every word recorded. Ross wasn't allowed in, but he watched from behind the glass, forced to see the reality of what his son had become. Meanwhile, Tommy faced his own reckoning. The police came knocking, and the weight of it all finally broke him. He confessed through tears, apologizing for ever helping Joel. Kat and Alfie tried to comfort him, proud that he finally told the truth, but the fear lingered. Would the police still charge him for helping a fugitive? Back in the interrogation room, Joel's arrogance was on full display. He sat there trying to twist the story, painting himself as the victim. He told officers that the attack was an accident, that Vicky had come at him, and he was just defending himself. But the detectives weren't buying it. They had the video, every horrifying moment that proved otherwise. Then came the breaking point. When Joel realized the police had the footage, his expression changed. Confusion turned to anger, anger turned to betrayal. And when he found out how they got it, that his own father had turned it in, he completely lost control. He erupted, slamming his fists on the table, his voice echoing through the station. "We are done. Do you understand? We are finished," he screamed. "You tell him he's dead to me." The words cut deep. For Ross, it was a nightmare come to life, watching his son destroy everything, not just his own future, but the bond they once had. And now, the entire community is left questioning what happens next. Will Joel finally face justice for what he's done? Will the evidence be enough to put him behind bars for good? Or will he try one last desperate move to escape the consequences? Meanwhile, Ross is left in pieces, a man torn between love and guilt, knowing he did the right thing but losing his son in the process. Vicky's recovery is far from over, and the scars, both physical and emotional, will take time to heal. As for Tommy, his fate hangs in the balance. He made the right choice in the end, but will that be enough to clear his name? In true EastEnders fashion, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. Every choice has a price, and every secret has a consequence. Because in Walford, justice doesn't come quietly, and when the truth explodes like this, no one walks away untouched. The story of Joel Marshall isn't just about guilt or innocence. innocence, it's about the darkness that hides behind closed doors, the lies people tell themselves, and the devastating cost of facing the truth. And as the dust settles, one thing's clear: this isn't the end of Joel's story. It's just the beginning of a reckoning that could tear Walford apart.